Okay. Hold on real quick.
Hey, we live, boys. Let's go. Let's go.
Boy.
Pull it up. Go. Bear with us. We'll be doing our intro shortly, ladies and gentlemen. We're troubleshooting here, okay? Let's. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a countdown. That's cool. Okay, perfect, perfect. Yeah, no. So
Wait,
I,
the
I see
countdown
the
going.
countdown stream starting soon. Yeah, I see it.
Where do you see that? Am I tripping?
I pulled it up on YouTube on my phone, so I just have YouTube
Oh,
open. Yeah.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Let me share this out.
Oh shit. The stream working too? I haven't even pulled it up. Yeah, there we go. Ah.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
This is game 6, right?
Not for none, Eric. Could you like count me down when we're at like 10 seconds and then I will like wait 5 and then do my intro? Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm feeling this.
Facts. Hey, LJ in the chat already. Let's go.
his three-point shot yet.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you are on the sidelines with the sideline guys for game 6 of the NBA Finals. And clearly, I'm turned up because my Thunder have a chance to make it happen tonight, a chance to make life fair. God damn it. So I'm turned up. Obviously, I'm going to be very emotional today, right? So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. All with that in mind, though, Derek, how are you feeling tonight?
Hey man, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I mean, look, you know what? I'm gonna tell you what. I know the last stream, you kind of felt I was hating, and I wasn't. I wasn't. I was just being a realist in what the game was showing me. But I'd be happy for you if you're able to get this championship. Right? I know it's the first time experiencing this, so that's special to see. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you.
Yes, sir. And it was never no shade. You know what I'm saying? I gotta clarify that too. I wasn't trying to shade. It just hurts. You know what I'm saying? It hurts to feel that, but it's okay. Okay. With all the pleasantries out the way, though, why don't we just remind the people to follow the brand at OTS Media Co. on all social media platforms, OTS Media on YouTube, where you're probably watching this right now. So subscribe, like the stream so we could keep bringing you this dope content and feeling the love. So shout out to you guys. Off the top, LJ, we see you, my boy.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for showing up for us once again. It's dope to have our guy LJ Jones here in the chat. And of course, Queen, sorry, QHQ. Let's go, my guy. Thank you for coming and tuning in as well on Twitch. Really looking forward to once again interacting with all you guys a little bit more. We're getting the lay of the land over here on the live streaming world. So we already told you guys about the brand socials. Derek, why don't you tell them about your socials?
Yes, sir. You can follow me at Derek_OTS. That's DERRICK, the black way to spell it.
You heard the man. Don't mess it up. And you can find me at Negron MMA on Twitter, as well as TikTok, Chris Negron_ on Instagram. Shameless plug. We're 15 days in of posting every day on my goal of getting out of debt in NYC, right? So that's another daily content that you got to look forward to, in addition to a lot of stuff we got coming out cooking on the OTS side of things that I can't wait to share with you guys too. So a lot more shows coming. Make sure you're subscribed. But with all that out the way, Derek, let's focus, right?
Yes.
A lot has happened since we've been here last time live.
Yes, sir.
So I think it's only right that we briefly talk about games 4 and 5. The series is now 3-2 in my Thunder's favor. And the X factors, the things that I think really changed for us, I think game 4 was the Caruso game, right? In every sense of the word, right? If he didn't exist for us, we probably lose that game. And that game came down the wire, right? Everyone kind of hated on the fourth quarter because it got a little foully, right? And it was very much so a slower pace. But I think we were in some ways in a lot more control than even game 5 towards that end because of what Caruso was able to do for us. So any thoughts on game 4 before we look at 5?
No, I think Caruso did a great job for you guys. I will say he was fouling a bit. So that was, you know, yeah, he always is. So I can appreciate the effort. Let me put it like that. I'll be a little political here. There was great effort right there, you know, and I'm happy that you guys were able to get everything together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate that. And I think there's always two sides to the coin, right? As far as the Caruso side, TJ McConnell has been absolutely cooking us the last 3 games. What he's been able to produce for them and the runs that they get because of his minutes is remarkable. Right. I'm telling you, that guy is going to get paid. This reminds me of the Matthew Dellavedova finals run as far as what he's shown to the league. Shout out to TJ McConnell. I feel like that's the biggest X factor, but the hugest X factor on the Pacers side is one that we hate to talk about, right? As a competitor, I don't like that this is a big part of the narrative, but the truth is the truth, right? Clearly, something is going on with Tyrese Halliburton. Something is going on with his lower extremities, which obviously in finals basketball is probably the worst kind of injury to have, right? So I just want to start this by saying I really hope that he does not get further injured in any way or any capacity throughout this game and the next, if we potentially have another one, just because, once again, I don't want that to taint this in any way. As a competitor, I've been loving this series, and it's a real part of the series because we saw the effects in games 4 and 5.
So that's the thing too. I don't think it will taint anything with the series. You of course you want to see Halliburton at his best, but I don't think it's gonna hurt the series too much because he's kind of been up and down in the series anyway. So it's not like you're gonna miss too much in that regard. This series to me is more about the others anyway. The others have been showing up on both sides a lot in this series, and to me, I think that's actually a great factor, factor of the narrative at least. So I think everybody else will rally around. I think all he needs to do is distribute and do the other things, and the game will come to him. But see, the thing about it too, what I find very interesting, and you tell me, because as a fan, you're going to be feeling a little different than I am. But the narrative, I feel like we always talk about this part of it, but the narrative is that Indiana got there based on who got injured. If OKC wins the title, we're not going to hear about injury with that. You know what I'm saying? And that's a part that annoys me. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you feel about that? Because I know for us last year, that was an annoying aspect of it, because I think that it denigrates what the team was actually able to do throughout the playoffs. And even so, on the other side, I feel like even if Halliburton, can't really go that well tonight, and they ultimately lose a series, I feel like it's going to also diminish what he's done in the playoffs.
Here, all things considered, I think the Celtics win that series and find a way to make it work, because that series is almost reminiscent to me of our series with Denver, because and I'm talking about Celtics Knicks versus ours, because you lost the games you lost, felt like you had in the control, right? So once again, it is heartbreaking in that way, and I think the Eastern conversation different. I think almost the real conversation and narrative that I've been annoyed by is people trying to say basically like, everybody knew the Thunder was going to win, but like they're not that good. It just so happened that all this other stuff happened. And for me, I think that if you're a fucking basketball sicko, right? Like, and I think we are included in that conversation. If you enjoy ball, I don't know how you could watch the Pacers and the Thunder get to the place that they are now and discount the legitimacy of it. I think if anything, this is a place for both of them to build legitimacy of it. I think if anything, this is a place for both of them to build.
Sure.
I think this is, and I think the narrative with the Pacers specifically kind of falls into that too, because obviously Halliburton didn't have the best regular season and was voted most overrated. And I think now he's clearly proving that narrative is stupid as well. I think a big part though of that narrative for him, and then I'll leave it here because I think I could go all day. But a big part of that narrative for him, I think, is also the way he plays. Like, I think in some ways his style of ball isn't necessarily casual friendly, even though I think it's one of the most exciting ways to play. But he's a superstar without all the trimmings of a superstar, right? He makes his team 1,000% better, but it doesn't feel like he is this dominant force that everyone expects XYZ from. So when he has games like game 1, where he absolutely takes the reins and makes the game about himself, it's like, oh shit, Tyrese has that in him, right? And I think you can always see that in his game and the way he leads. He's a perfect example of what it means to be a point guard. There's not anybody else in the league really like him right now. If we're being honest, there's not pure distributors in the way that he is, and the way he's raised his game offensively just further complements that. I think the narrative should be that both of these teams are a fucking problem for whoever they're going to be seen in the next couple years, because it doesn't seem like either of these teams are close to being broken up either.
No, they're not. They're not. But I kind of want to go back to what about what you just talked about, because I feel like I'm not willing to say he's a superstar yet. Not because he has not shown it, but because I kind of like I like for players to kind of like go on a run a little bit for like maybe like 2 year period before I look at them in that way. So right now, I think you can say Jalen Brunson is a superstar. Magic Johnson. I saw a clip. I don't watch First Take, but I saw a clip. Magic Johnson was on First Take last week, and his definition of a superstar was someone that's able to put people in seats, no matter like if they're on the road or not. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I can say Halliburton is the draw yet. I think he goes on another run next year, similar to how he played this year. I think you can definitely start considering him in that aspect. I will say he's definitely a star in the league, though. To say otherwise is to be ignorant to what it is you're actually watching. We have to. I feel like that's a part of the narrative that we're getting to with these games, because I'm annoyed by the national narrative of a lot of players and teams in general, right? I feel like we're too quick to crown someone based on flash that you see, and we're too quick to dismiss someone based on how they don't make us feel, right? So, for example, the face of the league topic, I feel like that just intertwined with this as well. So let me throw Anthony Edwards into this real quick, right? So Anthony Edwards gets the label of face of the league or superstar, all that stuff. And I feel like there's criteria that he has not met that people apply to other players that it's not consistent. And I feel like that's what's really messing up the conversation in general when we discuss different players and teams, is our criteria isn't consistent, right? So we like how the flashy plays that he makes, right? The dunks, the personality. You like all that from a national perspective. But when you have guys that are quieter, let's say like a Tyrese Halliburton, let's take Jason Tatum, right? Even SGA is a quiet guy, right? So it's like you diminish certain aspects outside of SGA, because I'm not going to talk about SGA like this, but you diminish what Tatum or Halliburton has done in the league because they're not as catchy from a personality perspective. They're quieter guys, right?
Who's a great example of this year too? Domantas Sabonis. He's on a team that nobody's talking about. The dude raised his game in a way that's big time.
Yes. And then the Kings in general, right? I think they took a step back a little bit from our expectations, but I think overall they're still a good team. And it's just the way that we're looking at players and teams is just not consistent. It really isn't. So
the key word that you said is the criteria, right? Like I think even my criteria for what a superstar is a little different than yours, right? Because I feel like when I consider a superstar, I'm almost looking at it like 2K attributes. Like can you contribute to your team in a certain requisite way? That's what I'm looking forward to, versus like the idea of like what it means to be a draw and all those things. I think those are very relevant too, right? But in my opinion, it's a different conversation, right? If we're talking ball, we're talking ball. And I think as a superstar, what it means to be a superstar is the way in which you affect the game. You know what I mean? So real quick on that note, we got a comment from our guy Untame. He said, I was rooting for Indy all series, but with Tyree's possibility to get hurt even more today, I'd rather OKC just ended today. I think that's a fair way to look at it. I'm not gonna lie, on the outside looking in, I can see why everybody's rooting for Indy too. I like Indy as a team and what they bring to the
Yeah.
table. Like if it wasn't my Thunder, I'd probably be rooting for them too.
Yeah.
But yeah, in some ways, I think that's what makes tonight so interesting, right? Because the narrative is going to be the injury, the narrative is going to be what happens in this way, and the narrative is we're winning this game, right? That's the narrative.
Yes.
I don't believe
Yes.
that at all. As a fan, I don't believe that at all. I've seen how these games have been. Even last game was a dominant win for us. In the
Right.
fourth quarter, we were at one point we was only up by 2 points, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
these
They came
games can
back.
get out of hand so fucking quick. I don't have any
Yeah.
faith in that way. But that's what makes it exciting, right? That's why we play the games, god damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I think from experience, right? I think what makes this game dangerous, even with Halliburton's injury, is the fact that you do not want to lose a finals game on your floor. Like, you don't want the other team to win a championship on your floor. I know that feeling. That is a horrible feeling, bro. When the Warriors won on our floor a few years ago, it pissed me off more than just losing the series. Because I can, part of it is like, yeah, maybe we weren't fully experienced yet, right? I can accept that. We were up and then we lost it, and it's just like, okay, that's part of the experience, and that's also a part of the journey to becoming a champion down the road. Get it. Losing on your floor, having someone hoist the trophy on your court, that's not what you want. And I would venture to say that that's the message that's being said on Indy's side tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And the craziest part about it, for me at least, is like I want that as a competitor, right? I want to be able to take it to them at their home court and see the silence, right? As the game is ending, we're the only ones celebrating. So I agree.
Right.
That's a huge X factor because once again, this team is hungry no matter where they play. Like that's why. Listen, I'm in this seat, bro. I'm traumatized. Last time we was here on live, bro, this shit went so bad for me, right? So like, in some ways, I'm kind of accepting of that already. The way I always look at sports is the home team should win. Like, regardless of what everyone is saying, in my head, I think we're going to Game 7. Like, so I'll be really happy if we get this done tonight, with that in mind. But once again, I just think no matter what, we're gonna have a chance to compete here. Like, and that's what's been the most exciting thing about the series and this finals period. All playoffs too. Like, this has been a legendary playoff run, and somehow the narrative is that the league is unhealthy. Like, bro, just say you don't like basketball because I think and even with these two powerhouses in OKC and Indy next season, I don't think anything is a guarantee. I think the league is wide open, bro. We got another year for Jimmy to get acclimated in Golden State. We've got another year where potentially I know that's the last thing you want to hear, but we got another year, right, where Houston is developing as a unit, and maybe they add somebody in the offseason to change what we're looking at, right? There's so many different, and that's just two teams in the West. There's so many different teams that are right there, man. I think there's a real run. There's a real chance to see new people every year. And as a fucking sports fan, why would you not like that? Like, I don't understand that.
So that we talked about that last episode, was that we're in this space now where it feels like we're out of the era of the same team being in the finals 5 different times, maybe 4 different. So. Like I think
we're starting that era now, but
no. The reason why I'm saying that is because I feel like there hasn't been a repeat champion since 17.
Yep.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to assume that you're gonna get back to back at this point, right? Now, the Celtics, to me, I thought they were the closest to doing it. Injury took them out, but I felt like they were the closest to doing it.
That we've seen.
Yeah, I don't see it right now. I feel like what you're saying is true. Like, we have the opportunity every year to see new faces in the finals. We have I actually feel like it's it's a bigger opportunity now. Like,
Mm.
I'm not sure. It somewhat feels like a great thing, then it also on the opposite end feels like a bad thing, because we're so used to seeing dynastic runs, right? If we're no longer in that era where you talk about dynasties, I feel like you now have to look at these teams a little differently. I feel like we have to talk about them differently because the national narrative again is judging these teams based on the ability to make a dynastic run, right? We put that criteria because as old school basketball fans, that's what we're used to seeing. So why is it that you can't make that run, that type of run, right? And I feel like you start to discount certain players if they don't do it, right? I feel like Jokic is probably the only one in this new era that will not get that kind of type of criticism. Like if Jokic doesn't get back to the finals in the next 3-5 years, I feel like people are going to ignore the fact that he, hasn't gone back to the finals. I feel like this is going to be something that they kind of look past, but then you're going to apply that to other players. Let's say Luka doesn't get back there, because I actually don't see the Lakers getting back there anytime soon. The narrative is: do you feel like it'll be that type of narrative will be applied to him?
Great questions, great points too. I think going back to the idea of a dynasty, I think because of the past and like no matter what, you're always going to be measured up against greatness. Like I think
Right.
this applies in football too. Every time we see a quarterback having a run, right? Now we see
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers initially. Now we're seeing it with Patrick Mahomes. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously he didn't even win the last couple years, but I mean last
Right.
year.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
it's always comparing him to Tom Brady. It's always
Right.
comparing any NBA player to Michael Jordan, right? Comparing these
Mm-hmm.
people to what our idea of the greatest is. And I
Mm-hmm.
think obviously that's just human need of innovation, right? We all
Yeah.
want to find the next cutting edge thing. We all want to these guys, not for nothing, to grow to that level, right? But that
Mm-hmm.
just speaks to what that level is. And I think
Mm-hmm.
as fans, we all got to be realistic about what it means to compete, especially in today's day and age in the NBA. Like, I
Yeah.
think in some ways, a lot of people need to be forgiven because in like the narrative does become that. Like, I feel like that's the narrative on the Ravens this year too, right? Going back to football. That's the narrative entirely where everyone is like, yo, y'all suck because y'all can't perform during the playoffs. And it's like, bro, do y'all realize like not for nothing what we're facing and what we're growing through this as well? Like I think that's something that's just so short-sighted with fans and understandable. We want our shit and we need it now, you know what I'm saying? And I understand that.
Yeah.
um but I think tempers need to be slowed down a little bit, and I think also we need to have a better understanding of what greatness is. I think a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times, because it is not the greatest, greatness cannot be appreciated. And I think that's just a silly way to live, man. There's a lot of phenomenal players in today's league. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I think that those narratives are deserved as well. If at some point in your career, you have been looked at as the guy and you're not getting there to give yourself a chance to be a champ, that deserves to be talked about, right? Like at the end of the day, the Steve Nash got 2 MVPs, right? He didn't get to win a ring, right? So that is all a discussion. I feel like that was wrong just coming out of my mouth. They won, right? The fuck did I just say?
Steve
Um,
Nash.
yeah, did he win a ring?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay, so I wasn't
Mm-mm.
wrong. It
Mm-mm.
felt wrong coming out my mouth, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the point, and that deserves to be spoken about as an asterisk. But that doesn't mean he didn't have a Hall of Fame career, right?
Yeah. Well, see, and I think maybe it's just me. I'm not one to fully put current players in GOAT conversations, right? I feel like that's where this ultimately leads. Like, for example, SGA, let's say the Thunder win tonight. You guys get the championship, right?
Yes,
You
sir.
can say you can look at him as the best Thunder in history. I'm okay with people
Confirmed. Yep.
having that. I'm okay with that. What I don't like is when we start having this conversation of, oh, he's among the greats, like in general in history. The reason why I don't like that conversation during the career is because the story is still being written, right? I want to see what else you can do before we start talking about you that way.
Real quick though, I think for perspective, LeBron James Jr. deserves to be talked about that way throughout his career, right? So I agree. I think there is a threshold. Okay, so perfect example. You said, to be looked at as a generational talent throughout your career. For SGA, that is very premature. I agree. Especially because this is the first finals run. That alone is telling of that. But what I'm saying is that mindset, it doesn't mean that it cannot be acceptable in certain contexts. And I think specifically with LeBron, the reason why I say that, I'm a LeBron hater. As an OKC fan, y'all can understand why. I'm a LeBron hater. But at the same time, you gotta admit what you're looking at. And I knew, even when I hated him, and when he still didn't even have 2 rings, that he was a generational talent as far as what he's able to do on the court. Is that going to turn into him being the greatest of all time? I still don't have him as that.
I don't either. Yeah.
I think there is still the discussion is deserved, and as far as SGA, I think that discussion is deserved too. But I really firmly still believe he should have been the MVP last season too. This year was undeniable. This year was undeniable. So to have 2 years back to back like that, followed with this playoff arrival, right? Just the game last night. What was last game? It was 30 points, 10 assists, 4 blocks. Like he's getting it done on both sides of the court, and I think that's what separated LeBron in that conversation as far as being somebody that could be that generational talent. And I think SGA has a case for that too. But I do agree with you. Yeah, gotta let this play out a little bit. I won't be surprised if, for example, if we look back at this and this was the peak, right? When I was living through the KD years and the finals run there, I didn't know that was going to be the peak. Right?
Yes.
And you could argue maybe he's had better individual seasons, but I think the point stands, right? We need to let these things play out and tamper expectations, but I think SGA deserves to be in that combo.
I'm okay with acknowledging greatness. I'm not okay with applying a finished product argument to a story still being written. You see what I'm saying? I'm not willing to do that. Can I sit here and say SGA is writing one hell of a story? Yes, I can say that. I can say that about Tatum too, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that these guys are in the conversation of like GOATs, right? I'm not like LeBron, for example. I feel like there was a specific point where it's like, okay, you can't deny that he can at least be in a conversation.
Yeah, he's number 2, no doubt for me. Do you agree with that?
I don't.
And that's fair.
I don't.
No doubt for me. There's no doubt for me.
Yeah. So, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why though is because part of it is mentality. Part of it for me is your ability to just to go for it, right? Like
impose your will on the situation.
Yeah, and to me, leaving Cleveland to go to Miami was where it was like, like I just can't. I personally can't, and I'm not mad at anyone who does, but Kobe didn't do that. Tim Duncan didn't do that. You know, that for me means something.
Don't do it to him, James. Don't do it to him. God damn. I'm sorry to cut you off. But
no, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Now?
Yes. No, bro. I'm not even mad. Let me ask you this, because the Thunder win tonight. Who's your Finals MVP?
It's definitely SGA, but J-Dub ain't making it easy these last.
He is not making it easy, bro. He's not making it easy, and that's another thing too. I feel like we're going to be starting to talk about the narrative aspect of things playing into a lot of these situations. Because let's say he does. Let's say. Yeah, it's over for these guys. If Williams wins, Finals MVP.
But Jay, will Jalen Williams, he's just
do you feel like SGA is going to get the same type of criticism that like Tatum got last year?
That's such a good question. I think because he won regular season MVP, he won't, and that's unfair. It's unfair.
Right.
I don't think that criticism of Tatum was ever fair either, because why are you getting penalized for somebody rising to the occasion? It's not like he had a terrible series. It's not like he was averaging 18 points. Like, literally. So
he
I don't
could have won Finals MVP. Yeah, he could have won Finals MVP. Yeah,
he should have. I feel like he still should have, even though.
I feel like it too. But
Jay Brown did his thing too. I love that run for him too. He did his thing.
He did. So you can't really be mad at it. You know, like I thought, hey, it's a flip of a coin type thing, but. I just don't think that conversations. I just don't feel like the criteria is applied properly. I really don't. Like SGA is a phenomenal talent. He is definitely someone you can look at and say is the best in franchise history.
And this is how many years in now? Like I don't even know. I think it's like 6 years, 6 seasons or something like that.
Yeah. Like if you want to say that, I'm not mad at it. Cause look, I got
Infiniti QX60.
Bro, I feel like you want to go to a football reference, right? As an Eagles fan, I already feel like Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback for the Eagles.
The unmistakable.
Now, people might, debate me on that. That's perfectly fine. But what he's done is undeniable. What he's done is just it's phenomenal. So, to me, when you're able to lead a team to a championship and do it in a decisive way, it's kind of hard to deny what they've done for that franchise. So I wouldn't be mad at anyone saying that SGA is the best in the franchise, despite what KD did.
Hey, Meta.
Yeah, man. I think it's undeniable, and I think, and this is me giving love to Russ too. Like I think Russ, even after this, I still would argue that Russ is the most accomplished Thunder player. Even if SGA doesn't necessarily. I mean, let's say we don't win, right? Let's just say it. I think that argument is way easier to make. But even if we do win, I think there's still something to say about that longevity, right? But for me, at least, it's like, I don't think it even matters, right? Like, at this point in his career, why does it matter if he is that? He's going to continue to grow into that. He's still so young in his career. This is year 7, so I was a year premature.
Applebee's All You Can Eat is back.
Even then, like
the chicken tenders you've
the levels
loved.
at which he's grown in the past 3 years, and this team as a whole, like,
riblets.
and that's something I wanted to
All
mention
served
too.
unlimited for
Right?
just
And I'll get this off my chest now. Fuck it.
Only at
I think this team. I was proud of this team before we even lost in the playoffs last season, because I didn't know that this team could grow into that. I always knew SGA was special. I always knew that these young guys we were drafting were good, right? But I didn't know that we could bring ourselves to be league best conversation. I thought we was going to be rebuilding for at least another 2 years from now. So the fact that we've been on this track is actually kind of really insane to me, and you have to anticipate, and I think that's where a lot of this talk comes from too. If you see someone grow this much in the last 2 years, and we're anticipating that continued growth, right? In some ways, that projection is a projection of his future production as well.
For sure.
So I think people get excited, and I think rightfully so. I think he's the kind of player you should be getting excited about.
Oh, for sure.
Beautiful move there by Chet. Yeah, man, I agree with you, though. I think pause is necessary no matter what. Like, let these things play out.
Ooh.
We're so good at that. I think we're the best team at the league, and with all of our guards.
After the paint.
Front in the post.
Yeah.
Just making them feel miserable trying to get that ball in the post.
Yeah, man. I feel like
I cut you off there.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just putting a ribbon on it. I do feel like it's time for us to hold off with having these type of conversations where you're trying to put these guys in these discussions that don't make sense. It just does not make sense. Now, if they retire early,
Damn, Long, what a fucking move by Siakam.
Back-to-back buckets and a
Ooh.
chance for a three-point play.
I mean, this game ain't over, boys. We're
Hey,
gonna
man,
be
listen.
here for a long time tonight.
listen again. This is the whole thing about I was saying earlier about the others, right? Siakam, if he has another one of those games,
He's MVP. He's Finals MVP. Yep.
he's definitely Finals MVP if they win. There's no question about it.
I think his growth needs to be talked about too. I think that's the most underrated aspect of this series, man. I think hands down, you looked at the future of this team. We thought Miles Turner was going to grow into this kind of thing, right? Pascal Siakam is playing at a level that I don't think is comparable to anybody else in the league right now from his position. What other power forward is doing stuff like this to separate themselves? Like very much so reminiscent, if you ask me, to guys like LaMarcus Aldridge, guys like Dirk Nowitzki that can really make their stamp on the game, and we got a tie motherfucking game now, boys. 10-10.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a good game.
What a move by SBA.
Beautiful,
This is
beautiful,
a fucking phenomenal game, man. Phenomenal.
beautiful.
And once again, how can you hate this basketball, ladies and gentlemen? Everyone's like, oh, this sucks. This is the most least viewed finals ever. Well, it's probably one of the best in the last 10 years that I remember.
I honestly, yeah, because it's usually,
like minute competitive. What a fucking shot by Nembhard.
Yeah.
Like minute to minute competitiveness. Like everyone is stepping up to the plate.
yeah. Usually it starts getting one-sided, like around like game 2 or 3. You can see who's gonna actually win the game. This win the series. This one has been very well played.
That's already 3 turnovers.
I'm so surprised he didn't see Lou in the corner there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. That spin move is quick, but what a step back. Nembhard is dangerous, man. I think that's another guy that might grow into an all-star here in the future.
Yeah, and I think it's fine to start talking about certain guys like that too. I feel like these guys don't. I feel like the others don't get as much shine as they should get, right?
Well defended again.
He is definitely one of the others that need to have that type of shine.
Double team.
Sure. Especially because what he's able to do on the defensive side.
Yes. Ooh. That was a block?
That better be a block. You saw how late that fucking shimmy was? That better be a block.
It's pretty late in the clock, so this closeout starts with just a couple of
He's still shifting.
He's like, yeah.
So much of this is the angle at which you see it. He doesn't take it square on the chest. This one's closer than I thought it was.
It just seemed like there was a little move to the right as Williams was already up. First foul on Neesmith.
Agree in both of them.
Get an inside look at the NBA.
Holy, I'm
Finals on
sweating
the
in this
NBA
bitch,
original
man.
Chasing History.
It's hot.
New
What were you
episodes
saying,
for
Eric?
exclusive access into the drama. Biggest moments of each game. Watch Chasing History.
Angel.
In the NBA app. We've watched those. They are fantastic.
Yep.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think this has very much so been Adam Silver's vision, right? Like I think with everything they've done with the aprons and everything they've done to try to even the playing field, I think the goal was to reward the teams that are doing it the right way, that aren't just dumping all this money to try to make these things work. So I think parity, once again, is the healthiest thing for this league. If you enjoy basketball, if you enjoy superstars and you enjoy narratives, then maybe the league is slow right now for you, but goddamn, the Pacers are cooking right now. We need to lock in.
No, I agree with that, but I feel like as well, I think we're gonna come into a time, and I could be wrong by this, but I feel like we're gonna start seeing players willing to take specific types of pay cuts to stay with certain teams if they have the ability to win a championship. I feel like there's gonna be certain guys that do that. Like, of course, you're not talking about the stars. My God, my God, bro. My God.
He's a menace, bro. He's a menace. How
The
the
others-
has he done this for 3 games straight? You know it's on the fucking scouting report, and it still happens. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Dude is a dog, man.
The others.
Last touch by Halliburton. He's trying to say it was Caruso.
TJ McConnell is one of the best in the league at this. He's
You keep getting
always
rudely
opportunistic,
interrupted.
pushing
That's how
up
you
the
know
Yeah.
this game is
Hey,
great.
I'm okay with it. I don't care.
Behind the player, and it leads to 3 points.
Fucking
Like,
top
that's a
into
lack
it.
of attention to
Hell of a
detail.
series.
He has had
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
expect him to grow in the role. He's got himself paid this playoff run too, in my opinion. I think he's gonna find himself to be a starter somewhere.
Once again,
That's my
pushing
hope.
That's another thing too. Like, that's part of what I'm kind of like
comes off the bench.
seeing.
Toppin.
I think there are gonna be guys that take pay cuts, but then I think we're gonna start seeing other guys like Toppin.
Gets one to go.
Ooh,
Tyrese Halliburton from downtown.
Yeah, they're cooking right
Timeout,
now.
Thunder.
They're
oh
cooking
my
right now.
God.
I love seeing Reggie here too in the crowd. Like, shout out to Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
Even though I don't
Yeah.
want these guys to win, every time I see Reggie, I get fucking hyped too. I'm not gonna lie, I get
Yeah.
hyped.
They're live, but they are getting the effort.
Bro, this is once again, this is fucking grade A basketball. My team is losing. I could be salty right now. But these
Yeah.
motherfuckers is against extreme ball pressure, are executing at a really high level. How can you hate on that? Like,
So this goes back to what I was talking about earlier too. Not wanting another team to win on your floor. Just not wanting to have another team hoist the Lombardi, Larry O'Brien on your floor. You don't want that. You don't want that. It's a pride thing. Like, I'm glad to see them not check out, man. The Pacers to me are they're a team that, outside of my Celtics, right? If I'm gonna look forward to watching another team, this is one of the teams I'm looking forward to watching throughout the season. They're just fun to watch. They're a great team and very well
they're
coached.
relentless. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of, and this is once again, maybe this is just a fat man experience, right? I don't know, but I hope you can relate to this. I feel like the Pacers must be so dizzying to play against that, like, it's that same feeling of like when you first step off the treadmill, like the world is still moving around you, but you're not on it no more. But it still feels like I feel like that's what it must be like to play against them, because bro, you feel like you gain an inch and they're taking a mile. They're getting steals. Everything is a run out. You score, they're running out. We've seen that. Like, they have made us play much faster than we normally do,
Right.
because of the way they play. So that I feel like it must be a pain in the ass. And you knew this coming into this season, right? I feel like that was high key the most, like, bro, once again, I love doing these shows with you because I think regardless of us, I don't think it matters for us to be right. I think a lot of the stuff that we're wrong about and a lot of the conversations we have, there's still a lot that can be gained from it. But the amount of times that we've proven ourselves right and proven our eye right throughout the show, like, that's why I'm so fucking rock solid on our future and what we're doing here. Because I feel like no matter what, we have proven our fucking mental. And the things that we have seen before they happen, that have happened, we Nostradamus out here. So I love that you highlighted that before this playoff run even started, because clearly this team is different. And it wasn't like this throughout the regular season, right? We could be honest. It wasn't like this.
Yeah.
But we saw the change even in that Bucks series. I think you're the quickest person to hate on Giannis and the Bucks. I love that. I love that for you too. I still am firmly in the belief that Giannis is probably the best player in the East. If you're talking about just singular players, I still believe that. I know you don't. It's okay.
I don't believe it, bro. I don't believe it.
And that's fair. That's fair, especially next season, right? Shout out to Tatum. I hope you get better soon. I'm just being honest. So, and then you consider what they were able to do against them, and that's round one. So this team has clearly stepped up to the occasion in a big way. And as a basketball fan, you can't hate on that, man.
No, but that's the thing though. Like, after we faced them in the playoffs last year, it was like you could see where they were about to go. You could see the step that they were about to take. If you're paying attention to the series, it's not hard to see, right? Again, I've said this multiple times. It was on paper, it was a sweep. Watching that was a 7-game series, man. That was a tough series. And if you go back and listen, the Celtics said the Pacers were the hardest team they faced. That's the hardest team they face. Like, they got my respect. I don't care if they win or lose this series. To me, they're a team that again, they're going to be one of the top contenders for the next couple of years.
And do the all-time rising team too. Like,
yes,
very much
yes.
so reminiscent. And once again, this isn't trying to throw shade, but I feel like if you can mix two dynasties together and come up with the closest thing, I feel like they're the best mix of, like, once again, that Steve Nash run and also the beginning of the Tim Duncan runs for the Spurs. Like, I feel like if you mix those two ideologies together, that's what these Pacers teams are right now. Like, I feel like the style of play, what they've built around the guys they have. This motherfucker just missed 2 free throws. shout out TJ, man. Slow it down, my boy. Slow it down.
That's a different pace right there.
Slow.
Yeah.
Let's go, K-Son. Wide open, my boy. He stepped up big time in Game 5.
Yeah, he
And
did.
I think he's somebody that I've been talking about to everybody that will listen, man. I'm like, I love Casey Wallace. I'm still firm in this. I think he'll be a starter on most teams in the league. And he's one of our deep bench guys.
Yeah.
So to see him go up a little bit has been good, but he needs to keep doing it.
That's the 15th foul.
Yeah.
So in the
Yeah.
And every time I see Hallie on the bench, I get hyped. Let's go. Now's our chance.
Talk to me a little bit about the history of your team, because if you guys win the championship, right, this would be the first in franchise history. I mean, you guys for OKC. So that's another thing. Like you, I can respect the fact that you guys don't count the Seattle title in your history.
I think the league does, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, the league does. Yeah,
I think once. No, they don't.
They don't.
I don't know, because I remember they were doing. I don't know if they still do that, but they were doing that like yellow tag for the teams that won titles. So I was looking for that. I don't think they ever gave the Thunder that. So I don't know.
Oh, that's a good. That's a good shout. I just, for me, I think it's different when it's a different franchise, right? Different city, you know, different team name, all that stuff. It's one thing if you keep the name, but if you're not even keeping the name, it's like, you know, I don't know. Look, the Celtics never changed their name. The Lakers have.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. What were they again?
The what was it? The Minneapolis.
It's blue. Yeah, their uniform is blue.
Minneapolis Lakers, I think. I think.
Either way.
My point, they didn't count those titles until the 90s. If you go back, there was a video that the Lakers came out with that said, I think it was Drive for 5 or something like that. They didn't count the titles, bro. They didn't start counting those until the mid to late 90s.
And I think that situation is actually more acceptable than the Seattle situation. I feel for Seattle fans. I'm friends with Seattle fans, and I could get why you would hate on the Thunder because of that. But it's not our fault. You know what I'm saying? We didn't do shit. And I think that's why I think it's cool that we did embrace the history, especially because that's who we were, right? I was a Seattle Supersonics fan when KD was a rookie, and then it turned into this. So it's like you gotta acknowledge your history, and I think it sucks for Seattle, if I'm being honest, especially because. Especially because it seems like at some point there's going to be expansion teams in the league. Right? At some point we're going to get a Vegas team. At some point we're probably going to get a Seattle team again. I would love for them to get back their history, right, and for it to be completely separate. But in some ways that kind of sucks too, right? Because the modern era was also 1 year was played with the Seattle jersey on. So it's like there's a lot of different ways you can look at this. Yeah, I think history-wise, as far as where this team stacks up, I think what makes it so fascinating is there's a lot of parallels between the Harden, Westbrook, and KD years, just because everyone is like, you know, we got this core group of young guys that are going to continue to grow together. But I feel like even then, what we have been able to accomplish defensively and what we've been able to accomplish, like, across the board, like I feel like what doesn't get enough credit about this run is how dominant our defense has been against the best offense possible. I think these games have been insane because of who we're facing, but we see the ways in which our defense breaks these teams down throughout games. We have had multiple 10-plus point comeback wins because we're able to lock in that way, in a way that I've never seen from any Thunder team that I've supported. Like, I feel like no matter how good and how inevitable our offense felt, we never really had that beyond guys like Thabo Sefolosha that were like specific defensive guys, right? Ibaka.
Sefolosha is a throwback.
Shout out to Sefolosha. Like specific guys that are in that Tony Allen role, right?
Yeah,
bring defense. Like, bro, I think we're 8 deep as far as defensive stalwarts, defensive cornerstones, like, and that part is completely overlooked by most people in these discussions. Because I think that's what separates us beyond anything. Everyone, it's all the fouls or whatever. First of all, we've been abysmal 3-point shooting in the finals, in the playoffs, period, in the finals specifically. Abysmal. But what's been keeping us in this game is our defense. But we won with the other game. We scored 2 threes and we won. Because of what we're able to do on that side of the ball.
That's the thing, though. Like, I don't feel like there's a lot of attention that's on defense. I feel like we're in the space from a societal perspective that defense doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean as much as offense does, and the teams that play like that don't go anywhere. They don't. If you're just offense solely, if you're mainly focused on offense, you're not gonna get far. It doesn't matter how many points you score during the regular season or even in the playoffs. If you're not able to stop anyone, you're not gonna win anything. That's why I don't see Luka winning a championship.
And that's fair, and I think you can blanket certain guys, right, with the way you scheme things up. Yeah, man, I couldn't agree with that more. I think it's so underrated because there is no reward for it, right? Unless you're getting a steal or a block, there's no tangible evidence of what you did.
Right.
You got the ball back. That's just a part of the game, right? But the reality of it is like you said, you could change the imprint on a. I mean, you see this all the time. Like, at the end of the day, three-pointers make the games closer. But how did you have an opportunity to get the three? You need to get the ball back. So, and I think another thing that you mentioned, right, is like defense isn't looked at as a prominent thing, and that's also because of the idea that you could do everything right defensively and they could still score. Like, At the end of the day, good offense beats good defense. But the effort and the level to which we raise ourselves, especially after signing Caruso, signing Hartenstein, like this team is on a different level as far as, and I think, and I will make this argument, on a different level than we've seen from other teams the last 20 years. Like, real shit. That's just me being honest. I feel like the plus-minus stats, all that stuff backs this up too. Like, I think this is a very special team. The fact that we have an opportunity to continue this in the future and have more years where we could figure out what we could become. Once again, that's why I reiterated, guys. I've been proud of this team before we even got eliminated last year because I did not see this coming at this rate. I always saw it, but I didn't see it at this rate. And it's getting incrementally faster throughout a historic season.
Yeah. No, I think y'all have done a great job. What's been the last 6-7 years of just being able to stockpile picks and players, like. The way that OKC has moved over the last few years is amazing. It's great to see that kind of work pay off. You know, I can't be mad at it. It's the same thing the Celtics did. It's the same thing the Celtics do.
And the same way with your Celtics. The same way with your Celtics, not all of those success stories that were created by our franchise we get to reap the benefits of. Guys like Domantas Sabonis that left, guys like Harden that left, and I'm sure you could name 10 guys from your team too. Like, when you're doing things the right way, there's gonna be guys that get away too. Trust me. And I think that SGA is that for the Clippers, right? I'm sure. I'm sure. Doc Rivers is looking back like, damn, we knew what we had. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure Steve Ballmer is like, fuck, billions of dollars ain't gonna buy me back this player. once
No,
again, I
man.
think it's easier to say that in retrospect.
It's one line
right?
powered with
In
unlimited
hindsight,
data on
yes.
Verizon's 5G
However,
for just $20 a month for 1 year,
I
guaranteed.
like
But you
that's a
already know
move that it looks good on paper, but again, you got to evaluate.
That's kind of our special.
I think part of making these type of trades, part of it is also being able to see the pattern of the player, right? I didn't know if PG was going to be able to do anything in LA or not. They on paper, that team looked like they should have been able to do something. They should have won at least one championship. You know, when I realized they were fried,
Let's take a look at who's getting buckets. Brought to you by
when they
KFC.
gave up in the
Anyone
bubble.
who saw the Eastern Conference Finals a year ago knows that Nemhard is not a prey to these
Just
moments.
lay down.
Understanding
like-
the star is not 100%.
What?
Let's sidestep into a three.
You had the opportunity to get that championship. That should have actually been theirs.
TJ here getting the strip, trying to turn it the other direction.
I don't know, bro. I can't.
Buckle up.
Oh man, Julio, brother.
I'll destroy you.
Hey, win
I'm
a
sorry,
championship. Win a championship, and then we can talk.
Hey, I just gotta say, shout out to Julio, my guy.
At AT&T,
I fucking love
we
you.
confident
Like, I
we
mean this
guarantee our
from the
network.
bottom of my heart, bro.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
I
What
hope
we can't
if
guarantee,
anybody
you and
could
the
be
team
happy
will
for
be
me
too
today,
connected.
it's my guy Julio, because I'm gonna be happy for him when his Clippers win a title the way I potentially could be. Because this motherfucker knows that I've been a Thunder fan for
Connection
10
means
plus
so.
years. He
That's why
knows
with AT&T,
how I've been in the
you proactively make it
trenches.
right with the
So,
credit.
Yeah.
shout out to my guy. We love you.
That's the
We hope you're
AT&T
doing great.
guarantee.
Because goddamn it, you
Most
deserve
definitely.
it. My God.
Most definitely. Let me ask you about the Clippers, though.
Total focus.
Yes, sir.
Do you see
Also
them
need to eat. KFC fill-ups are back.
actually being able to do
Ways
that?
Fill up for just $7 each, and see F1 the movie. In
I think a lot
theaters June
needs to
27th,
happen,
rated
right?
PG-13.
Respectfully, a lot needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think they're in
It's
the
time for
right
tonight's
direction. And I
access
say
brought
this
to you
because
by Visible.
I had them
Jalen, you guys
beating
got off to a good start,
the
and then they
Nuggets.
went
I
on a
thought
little bit of a run.
I did
took
too.
a lot of
What did you like about the way you
otherworldly
guys
effort
closed
from
out that
Jokic.
first quarter, though?
I think we need to see that team that we saw in the playoffs, though, and towards the second half of the season. Because I feel like
Yeah.
that Clippers team we saw was one of the best teams in the league coming into the playoffs, and they just
Yeah.
unfortunately met up with a really hard matchup. I would say bro, and this is me just being frank, if we didn't beat Denver, I think they're in the finals. Like,
I
genuinely.
agree. I know.
And,
So let me
and,
ask.
and that's a lot saying. I don't think that team is anywhere as good as the team that won the chip. So,
Yeah,
once again, speaking
yeah.
to the levels of Jokic's greatness as a player that doesn't really contribute on defense,
Right.
that needs to be thrown out there. But what were you going to say there?
So that's the thing. I feel like the Clippers. I agree with you. Like the way they played toward the end of the second half of the season, and then going into the playoffs was phenomenal. I'm of the belief that there's something that's missing, and it might be from the bench, right? I feel like they need a player.
He's on the court. He's in charge.
And I can't think of who exactly. They just need someone else to kind of like kick in, almost like how Siakam is able to do, right? He's able to take over. I personally, and we talked about this last time. I feel like Kawhi has that number one option mentality and output, have that number one option availability.